when we have held these national conferences, leadership conferences here in Alabama, and we have previously in years past, in the last 20 years, this is the 5th one in Alabama. We've had one in Birmingham, we've had one in Montgomery, we've had one in Madison near Huntsville, had one in Coleman, and now this one in Sheffield. Most people call it Florence here, but you have to cross the river to get in Florence. And over the years, we have tried, when we've had these conferences here in Alabama, to have at least some distinguished Alabamian on the program. At one of these conferences, we had Governor Guy Hunt when he was governor of Alabama. We've had George Wallace Jr. at a couple of them. We had the chairman of the Alabama Republican Party at one of them. And today we have a distinguished Alabama political figure that I'm especially proud to introduce. He happens to be my own personal state senator. Charles Bishop served a couple of terms in the state senate back a number of years ago. Then he served a term as state agriculture commissioner, agriculture and industry to be precise. And now he's back with us in the state legislature as a state senator. Those previous races, prior to his current one, he ran on the Democrat ticket. He ran on the Republican ticket for his current position, party that I happen to participate in. He's a man we're very proud of. He's an outspoken political figure. There has even been an occasion or two when he has made national news. And I told him he would be among friends here, and you have just exhibited that. So it's my real pleasure to present to you State Senator Charles Bishop.
I noticed when he was talking to you a while ago, is this mic working?
I'll just talk loud.
I don't need it, but I was just wondering if it was working. You can hear me in the back, can't you? All right. I was noticing as Leonard was beating on his cane, it reminded me of a story. A fellow said to me the other day, he said, "Ain't you Charles Bishop?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You the head knocker, ain't you?" But I'm going to take just a brief part of your time. First of all those outside the state of Alabama, if you would please stand just a second so I can. Well, now that's fantastic. I want to personally invite and tickle to death that each of you chose to come and visit us in Alabama today. Now, if you would please be seated. Those from Alabama, please stand. I want you to join me in a big hand for those that thought enough of the state of Alabama and their organization to come and visit. I'll tell you a short story getting up to and those from Alabama. You know I love you, so we won't go any further than that. But I'll tell you a short story getting up to the incident that happened in Montgomery, which I'm not very proud of. I'll be totally honest with you. We've got to where we can laugh about it, but it was something that wasn't funny, and especially the way I grew up. Is anyone here from Arkansas? Good. That's where I was born. I'm thinking to talk about Arkansas. I was born in Morrow Bottoms, Arkansas, the same place that Coach Bryant was. When I was 2 years old, my parents moved over near Helena, Arkansas, in the southeastern part of the state, between the White River and the Mississippi. In fact, they moved south of Elaine, Arkansas. Do you know, any of you from Arkansas know where Elaine, Arkansas is? I mean, it's down nearly nowhere. What it was a big, large tract of timber, and in the middle of that timber was carved out a cotton plantation. And it was called Melwood. Had a one-room school and a large cotton plantation. That's where my memory started, back in those woods. My daddy was a sharecropper, growing cotton. And it was tough, but I didn't know it was tough. I just remember some years Daddy didn't make any cotton. We had too much rain, or it was too dry. The boll weevils eat up the cotton. Or it's always something. But let me tell you what was in the middle of that, and it stands out in my memory today. And that was my mama. Because my father couldn't read a lick. My mother was our bookkeeper. She was a doctor. She used to take white linen, and save it for bandages and all those things. She canned 700 quarts of food out of the garden each year. She was our bookkeeper. She was the rock and foundation of our home. I respected dearly my mother. My father taught me that. And he also, and my mother and my father, and we had the good Lord. And that's really all we had back in those woods over there. But they taught me how to work at an early age. And if you ever have anything, son, and my daddy loved them flags. He believed this was the greatest nation in the world. And you could come out of those cotton fields and be anything that you chose to do, or at least along the way find something else that God had picked out for you. But you never knew where you was going out of those cotton fields, because this was the United States of America. And it grew and became a country because it was overtaxed and mistreated. This was a great country. The only thing that bothered him somewhat, he felt like maybe we mistreated the Indians a little bit along the way. He didn't particularly like some of the way that was treated out west. But he loved this country. And I grew up learning very quickly to respect women, whether you're young, whether you're older, like me, but to respect women. They had to prove they didn't have any respect to me, because that's the way I was taught. And I still feel that way. I still feel that way strongly. And when one day we were getting ready to recess, a state senator from Selma, Alabama, offered a resolution to the Alabama Senate. I was turning to walk off the floor, and I heard the clerk read the synopsis. And it was something about apologizing for slavery. I said, hold it a minute. Whoa, let me get up here to Mike and see what's going on. So I had, according to the rules, I certainly had the right, and I took that liberty to ask that that resolution be read at length. It was a joint resolution. And it asked that the Alabama Senate, the senators that was there, vote to apologize for their constituents for slavery. I said, Senator, I don't quite understand what this is about. He was a black senator from Selma, Alabama. Matter of fact, he's a racist. There's a reporter in here. You can underline what I said. There's a lot more black racists today than there are white racists. Because over there in that cotton farm in Arkansas, we didn't know nothing about racists. We knew something about work. Our fathers taught us how to work. Got up every morning, no electricity, go to the barn, feed the cows, feed the mules, feed the horses, and go to the fields or go to school. And we had to walk them back out there, pretty good ways out there over the little one-room school out. Wasn't but 3.5 miles. I could almost run that pretty easy if I chose to. But you see, this senator wanted me to apologize for all you people that stood up a while ago from Alabama for slavery. Well, I ask you here today, did any of you own any slaves? No. Neither do I. How could I apologize for you for something that wasn't mentioned in my campaign when I ran? Not one time did Leonard ask me to do that, or any of the constituents in my state Senate district. Now, I'm not a very good politician, I'm here to tell you. Because along the way out of them fields in Arkansas, like my old pappy taught me, he had a saying, you got to know when you don't know, son. And you got to know it before the people you're dealing with knows you don't know. And when you figure out it's something that you don't know, you've got to seek advice from somebody that knows when he don't know. And you're going to get good stuff. I didn't know what that was till I grew up and began to grow. And it's amazing how much smarter and brighter your parents get as you get older. It's amazing. But anyway, back to the story. And I'm going to jump on you a little bit. Good Lord bless me, I can do that and get away with it. But I'm going back to the story. And I said to the senator, let me read this resolution myself, and we'll continue to discuss it. And in that resolution, not only was I to apologize for slavery, I was to apologize for what happened in the 60s here in Alabama and across this nation. I also was going to agree for atonement. For atonement. And I think there's some attorneys in here. Like my old Packer said, you got to know when you don't know. And I have to talk on them attorneys every once in a while because there's stuff legally I don't know. But I know what atonement means. It means reparation, does it not, to you attorneys? So he wanted me not only to apologize, but he wanted me to agree to reparation. I said, I'm not going to do that, Senator. I'll tell you what I'll apologize to you for, and this is it. That's all you get from me. I'm going to apologize that way back in time that our forefathers that built this country, that they didn't have the vision to see where we were going. And at that time, they could have corrected that problem if they chose to. That's all I'm going to apologize for. Well, now I took another liberty that's in the rules of the Alabama State Senate. I had the opportunity to send that resolution back to Rules. The Rules Committee, which sets the agenda for the Senate each day. So I sent it to Rules. That meant the chairman of the Rules was going to have to deal with it. Can you guess who he happened to be? He happened to be the guy that decided to give me a good talking to. And I don't go around starting fights or getting in fights. I'm 70 years old. But when you call my mother a son, call me a son of a bitch, I may be 70, but I'm sure going to take one at you. Because my mama was one, she's in heaven today, and she's one of the finest women that I've ever set my eyes on. So that's what happened that day in the Alabama Senate. I'm not very proud of it. Matter of fact, I'm a little ashamed that I didn't handle it different. There was too many people standing around. There was cameras. I didn't think quick enough, and I apologize to you for that. What I should have done is turned around and walked off and met him in the parking lot, just kicked the hell out of him. But now let me tell you something that is more important and why I really came here today. Because first of all, Leonard asked me to come, and he's my neighbor, has been for many, many years. Yes, I grew up in the Democratic Party because my old pappy over there worked on WPA to feed his family. You see, I happen to believe that two of the worst things that ever happened to this nation was the word welfare. Welfare. That is the worst thing that ever happened. It would, if we could do away with welfare, it would solve a lot of our problems. We wouldn't have illegal immigrants over here in this country looking for jobs. They'd come off of the welfare unemployment line looking for jobs. Out there on that farm over there in Arkansas, we didn't have all the technology you have today where 5 people could farm 2,000 or 3,000, 5,000 acres. We didn't have that. We had mules. And the only tractors was over there was owned by the people that owned the plantation that dug the ditches and did do some start to do some breaking because I was growing up and the technology was coming in. But you see, the farmers depended on a lot of labor a long time ago. A lot of people, they worked a lot of people. Now, they didn't pay them a lot of money because they didn't make a lot of money, but they made sure they had clothes on their back, something to eat, and treated them with respect, whether they were black or what. Okay? Now, along comes welfare. Not workfare, welfare. That means if what you can do, you can go up to the county courthouse and you fill out the papers and you do well. And your boyfriend and his boyfriends will do fair, but you'll do well. Now, I believe that this country is strong enough. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying to you. I believe this country is strong enough, by far, to take care of our elderly that can't take care of themselves. It's been paying taxes all these years, been a part of our society and educated our children that's going to lead us tomorrow. Surely we can do that. Surely that's more important than people too damn lazy to work. Surely it is. You should have to take a physical to see if you're physically able to work, and if you are, there should be another government society that temporarily guides you to employment and temporarily not allow your family to go hungry, assist you to the employment. And you turn down that job, you got to go to work. Back in the day when I grew up, you either worked or you went hungry. So that's enough about welfare. The second most critical thing ever happened to this country was eliminating our neighborhood schools. You took our neighborhood schools away. You see, over there in Arkansas, in that little one-room school I'm talking about, we had a couple of people, older people, that couldn't work anymore. But they took care of the school. You know, we had electricity there. You come down the main road there to the cotton gin in the general store, not back where we were at. But if something happened in the school, they would fix it. The farmers, the people that use the school, they would fix it. We didn't need the government to come in and do everything for us like we do today. So I think when they took our children out of our communities and started treating them like numbers and animals and putting thousands in facilities, I think it really hurt this country tremendously. But you know what? They refuse to let God go with them. They don't let God go to them big schoolhouses. We had them in the country schoolhouse. We had them in the community school. We had God out there. You may not believe in God, but I do. I can't believe they were smart enough to start to destroy the very foundation that this nation was built on back in those days. I think some of it's got to be accidental. Because they couldn't have been that smart. But yes, I grew up in the Democratic Party. But you know what? The Democratic Party that I grew up doesn't exist anymore in Alabama. It's just not there. The Democrats here in Congress were more conservative than he was up there in Michigan. There was a fellow from Michigan a while ago, I think. We had more conservative congressmen down here than y'all did. And they were Democrats. But they all didn't know. You ain't here no more. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, there's an election coming up. I don't care whether you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, whether you're independent, whether you're libertarian, whatever you are. To me, you're American. And you better pay attention to what's going on this time. Oh, I'm not particularly crazy. John McCain is Cynthia and I have met John McCain. Nice man. National hero. Back in that day when I'm talking about, I remember when, I can barely remember those bombers that flew out of Blytheville, Arkansas across there. Do you remember they had that big Air Force base there where our bombers come across there, I could barely maybe hear them bombers. But you know, the women left the fields. It never worked anywhere in their life. They went to the munition factories. They went to work. The women, that's another reason I respect our women in this country today so much that I'm old enough to remember. They were the foundations, like my mama was in our home. They were the rock and foundation of our fighting military strode across this world, that we almost lost our freedom to Hitler. Come that close to, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. But those Democrats that I grew up in, like my daddy, my old pappy, they're not here anymore. I wish they was. I wish we had a good conservative group of Democrats and a good conservative group of Republicans. That system's worked great for many years, two-party system. Been fantastic. But it doesn't exist like it used to. But we got a young man running for president in this country. It don't make no difference to me if he's black, white, green, or yellow. He's not experienced to be president of this country. He doesn't have the ability to be president of this country. Not only because he's young, and I've served more time in the state senate in Alabama than he has, so I guess I'm better qualified. Because of his ideology. Because of the things he believes in. He says that the way to get us out of this crunch that this country's in right now is to raise taxes on the oil companies. Well, you go raise taxes on the oil companies. I don't know what you spent for gas getting here, and I know it wasn't cheap. You'd spend more going home after they get through passing that tax on to you. I mean, that's stupidity. They say you don't need to vote for old John because he's too old. Well, hell, John can't help it because that kid ain't got no experience and he's black. This is a very turning point for this great country we live in, ladies and gentlemen. A great turning point. We can't miss it. And you think there's no way that Obama, listen to myself say it, Obama running for president of the United States. Obama. In fact, Mohammed Obama. Is that right? Somebody told me that. Wait. Hussein. Is that it? Okay. Whatever it is something that we just simply can't afford in this country. My grandkids can't. I'm going to be okay. You know, I'm going to be all right. I come out of those cotton fields, and along the way, I've had the opportunity. I see a guy sitting right behind y'all back there that used to work for me a long time. We started together as kids. Didn't have nothing, but we worked hard. And I know what it's like to pick that cotton over there. 40 cents, 20 cents, or the right just to get to go to tell my daddy. And I hated it whole. I'd rather pick it. I got so mad at my daddy. Planting that damn stuff so thick I had to go out there and chop it down to him a plant. I didn't understand that. She does that every time I use a bad word. Here, she's reminded me to keep my mouth clean. When I think about them cotton patches, I get mad all over again. But Daddy plant that stuff so thick and we'd have to go thin it. I said, Daddy, why you put that stuff out there and then want us to go out there and chop it down? He said, well, we got to have a stand, son. We got to have a stand. Just like you. You got to have the right foundation. You got to learn how to work. You got to learn these things. And I happen to believe there's two lines. I learned that out of that farmhouse. I believe there's one going down and one going up. That's why I told you I really truly believe in God. I don't act like it sometimes, but I thank the good Lord He's a forgiving God. And I remind Him that I'm sure I sinned today, but it wasn't intentionally. And I love Him, and I know He loves me. He wouldn't let me be here this long or have a beautiful wife like I've got that's stuck with me. We have 10 grandchildren. 11, I'm sorry. I forgot that other one. We have 10 grandchildren, beautiful grandchildren. We've been blessed so much because out of those cotton fields with that 50 cents or whatever it was I made a day sometimes, I've also had the opportunity to make $1 million a day. And I've done that, and don't take wrong what I'm saying to you. That young lady there has watched me grow. Everybody that knows me in Walker County knows I started off with absolutely $300 and in debt. And I couldn't have done it without the good Lord's guidance along the way. In treating people the way I want to be treated. I'm no better than anybody. Never will be. And neither will you. But you're as good as anybody. And let me tell you, if you want to maintain the rights, your rights, that these wars were fought over, right on through the Civil War, right, if you want to maintain your rights and you care about your grandchildren's rights, this is the election. This is it. We lose this one, we lose. This country's going the other way. We're going to give up our rights. It's going backwards. If the Hispanics and the blacks get together, if they get together, ladies and gentlemen, we'll do what we're told. They will elect who they want and defeat who they want. And I don't have a racist bone in my body, but I'm a realist. I'm a realist. I can see. I mean, Obama goes out here, 90-something% of the blacks vote for him, but that ain't racist now. They just like that dude. Ain't got nothing to do with color. You see, we've been so afraid in this country to talk about racism. We ought to have been talking about it a long time ago, but they ain't allowing us white folks to talk about it because we racist if we've been. We need to be able logically to talk about it as people. But we hadn't been able to. But I think that's going to change. Because I think the real racist is starting to stick his head up. And you better go home wherever you come from. And you better talk to everybody you know. Whether you like John McCain, I told you he's a national hero of mine. But, you know, he's not the kind of conservative some people like to have. I mean, I guarantee you. Pardon? Pardon? Oh, he's not the kind you like? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear as good as Leonard. But he's not, there's things we could change. I see some things that I'd like to, I wish we'd been drilling a long time ago. I wish we'd have got oil. We've got oil sitting here. And I wish we'd have tied those oil companies before we turned those oil fields loose. And we could see this coming. We knew it was coming. I got a 5-year studies given to me 5 years ago that was created by some of the top universities throughout the world that said 5 years ago we didn't have but 50 years of oil left. And it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. If you're running out of something, you got to do something else. So I think he's leaning that way. I think that he can be the salvation of this great country we live in. Who would have picked John McCain to be that guy? I wouldn't, is what I'm trying to say. But he's there. And I'm going to vote for him. Not only am I going to vote for him, I'm going to work my tail off for him. I could go vote in another party. But my vote would be wasted. I am going to vote Republican for John McCain. Now, you vote how you want, but don't come back crying to me. If you get your tails beaten, you've got to say, yes, sir, Mr. Obama. Let me say one thing. Republican for John McCain. Now, you vote how you want, but don't come back crying to me. If you get your tails beaten, you've got to say, yes, sir, Mr. Obama. Let me say one thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I really, truly enjoyed being here with you. And anytime you're in Alabama, please call my friend or me and let me know you're here. I'd love to visit with you. Cynthia and I are going to have to run, but God bless you. Hope He keeps you safe going home. And feel free to come to Alabama anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
When is St. Bishop going to become Governor Bishop?
I'm going to retire.
Go out this
Oh,
way.
okay.
I forgot to introduce his wife. That is Miss Bishop
Yes,
with
that's
you.
fine. That's- You'll go out this way, though.
Yeah.
See you, Larry.
Thank you.